I hate lefties. Why can't lefties keep it simple? Why can't you keep it simple? Why can't you keep it simple? You're wrong. They are teaching critical race theory in schools. What is this? Document cloud. Was this given by a white name? Who the fuck are you? What is this? The 8 White Identities by Barnor Hess. East Side School, contributed by Christopher Rufo. What is this? What is this conspiracy document that I have been provided? Chris Rufo is the Manhattan Institute guy. Oh, so you're providing me a document that was made by one of the conservative disinfo agents. So we have a couple of things that I, disagree with? These are literally just Twitter charts. What's the evidence of this? Wait. Here's a text or email. Dear families, I'm sorry. I hope you're enjoying your vacation. I'm sorry to bother you. A conservative guy named Christopher Rufo tweeted earlier about me emailing families some documents from our Disrupting Racism pamphlet? Apparently, he has a lot of followers, and I've been trolled and harassed all day about this. Now it's made its way to some conservative online news outlets. Apparently, some people have been reaching out to staff and family as well. Please do not reply to anyone. We do not want to encourage or engage these people. If anyone does email you, please share it with me, Letty, and Chris. Some news agencies reached out to Fox. Haven't responded. How does this make your side look good? That, like, you incite a moral panic and, like, terrify schools with the attention of conservative. It makes you look insane. Like, it makes you look like fucking lunatics. The Padlet is the online education tool. Tweeted today about me emailing some documents from our Disrupting Racism past. So this was on, like, a e-document thing. It's shown to kids. Why do they look like poorly cropped scans? I mean, I guess. Like, I'm gonna be real with you, dog. Maybe I need to take a different approach with this, okay? First of all, this isn't critical race theory fundamentally, but that's, you know what? We're done with that one, okay? We're done. No, because it doesn't matter. CRT doesn't mean anything anyway, okay? Here's my hot take. I don't give a fuck. Aren't like a third of high school students not even taught like that slavery was the reason for the Civil War? And then we have like these crazy fucking lunatic these lunatic moral panics over like somewhere in some places that like they show a couple things that are like a little bit weird. Like maybe that's what we need to do with like Charlie Kirk. We just need to assemble the massive gaps in existing curriculum. I didn't learn about Tulsa till I was 31. They want to frame this as a moral panic, and the best they can do is like, here are a couple schools where they said a couple things, you know? Yeah, just saying it's not CRT isn't enough. We have to change the rhetorical approach here. Even if it's not, that's not enough. It doesn't mean anything. We need to go like, okay, you really want to start a nationwide moral panic over like a few instances of schools showing anti-racism, but like in a cringe way. Like there are tons of elements of existing school curriculum that I have huge issues with, but I'm not encouraging people to install fucking cameras in their classrooms like a lunatic. Also, you have no data on and no evidence of the reach or the spread of this. You have a couple of one-off instances of classrooms who like broadly show like a couple images as part of a larger lesson towards what? Anti-racism? What is this? But you will mention that this isn't CRT anyway. Does it even fucking matter? Nobody cares anymore. Like, what's wrong with this? Fear zone, learning zone, growth zone, becoming anti-racist. Fear zone. I deny racism is a problem. I avoid hard questions. I strive to be comfortable. I talk to others who look and think like me. This one I have an issue with. I don't like this one down here. There's nothing wrong. Why doesn't it say I only talk to others who look and think like me? Like, what? This makes it sound like white people talking to white people is inherently racist, you know? I recognize racism as a present and current problem. I seek out questions that make me uncomfortable. Look, the problem that I have with all of these attitudes towards anti-racism is that they're atomizing, antagonistic, and they make it seem like racism is a matter of individual moral failing. That's a super liberal idea towards all of this. Racism doesn't get fixed by people checking their privilege and like talking to black people or whatever. That's not how it works. Focus on broader social questions. What about like the institutional nature of systemic racism? What about the income gap between black and white people? Why would you focus on like in order to be an anti-racist, you need to challenge yourself and make yourself comfortable or uncomfortable. Like, why? That's so stupid. You can do that if you want, but like, it is not the job of professors to try to instruct you in moral growth. Let me be clear about that, okay? It is not a professor's job to look at like a white person and go like, you should have more black friends because it would help diversify your thoughts. What you're doing isn't good enough. Challenge yourself. Like, that's not the job of professors, okay? Or teachers. Teachers' job is to provide is basic socialization, to educate on related curriculum, and to instill values that are essential to like basic social functioning. Like, don't fucking murder people, or to be anti-racist. But this isn't just anti-racist. This is anti-people who aren't trying hard enough to be anti-racist. And that's when you get a lot of really weird fractures. Lamau, you think Chinese imperialism is worse than U.S. imperialism? Nikki, not only do I think Chinese imperialism is worse than U.S. imperialism, I'm actually pro U.S. invading China. We're gonna, you know what we're gonna call it? We're gonna call it the U.S. too. You know why? Because the unfettered glory of the eternal American empire. Yeah, clip me. Yeah, that's right. The sun will never set on the American empire, okay? Soon there will not be 200 something countries on earth. There will be 200 something states, okay? And then there will be no American imperialism because it'll all be America. That's how we fix it. Stay mad, die mad. 1 billion views on Twitter. White supremacist, white voyeurism, white privilege, white benefit, white confessional, white critical, white traitor, white abolition. Why would they ever use the term white traitor? This shit is so cringe, dude. Listen, ideas like this are fine to banty about in an academic setting, but if you're trying to like educate people on these ideas, like this is super, super cringe, okay? White traitor. This is literally just like the woke version of supporting a given set of political ideas means you're a race traitor. Why? Can you stop? Can we not? Doesn't the pyramid diagram have a bunch of good examples of systemic inequality? Yeah, but they're meaningless. The relative position of these things, overt white supremacy, socially unacceptable, and then covert white supremacy, socially acceptable. This is super duper variable, dude. How is hiring discrimination socially acceptable? If you ask most people, how do you feel about hiring discrimination? They're not going to say, oh, dude, I think that's acceptable. Police murdering POC? We had the fucking BLM marches. What? Racial profiling, mass incarceration, MAGA, Confederate flags. These are all things that, depending on where you are not socially acceptable. The problem is these concepts are too complicated to distill down into like some weird tell-all graph, okay? How many of them are crimes? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, dude, the school to prison pipeline, that's something people think is good. A lot of this is just the matter of like education, fearing people of color, like implicitly or explicitly. What degree is acceptable? What are we doing? Also, even the top end of the pyramid is dumb because a lot of people think that racial slurs and racist jokes are acceptable. We have one prominent like Latin non-binary streamer on Twitch who's very pro-racial slur. And in terms of racist jokes, I mean, shit, fucking Key and Peele shit is super popular, you know? And then like, yeah, Latin, sorry. Yeah, and then like neo-Nazis, but then why is the N-word separate to racial slurs? How do you feel about the idea of women being afraid of men possibly hurting them being sexist? I mean, I don't know. It seems to be. We have to measure these things out and their consequences, you know? Key and Peele are satire, though. That doesn't mean they're not jokes. They're racist or they're racial jokes, but I like self-appointed white ally. Dude, self-appointed white ally? That's covert white supremacy? I hate this shit. I hate this country, dude. Oh my god. I hate this. I hate lefties. Why can't lefties keep it simple? Why can't you keep it simple? Why can't you keep it simple? Here's what, like, kids should be learning with regards to race. Are you ready for it? Okay. Kids should be learning a very basic history. Let's say, like, middle school. A very, very basic history of, like, the Civil War. And, like, yeah, the Civil War was because of slavery and the founding fathers and like the American colonists and like Europeans, blah, blah, blah. Like they made up like systems to like justify that slavery. And those were systems of racism. And their effects are still around today, but we've made a lot of progress since then. You know, that's simple. Okay? That works right there. That's fine. You can expand on that a bit. But like that line, that that method works fine. And in high school, you can talk about it a little bit more, you know? Like you can talk about like white supremacy and patriarchy and blah blah, and you need to take it from a sociological lens, okay? It's not about you being racist because you're white. It's just saying like, yeah, you know, a lot of people do have biases and sometimes they don't even know about those biases. But sometimes it's not even about people. Sometimes it's just about the way society is organized. So to give you an example, right? For hundreds of years, white families have had the ability to build generational wealth, which is a huge contributing factor to the likelihood of the children being wealthy. But black people couldn't because they were slaves up until about 150 years ago. And for 100 years after that, they were second class citizens. So they didn't have those same opportunities. Now, even if today absolutely nobody was racist, like even if we took that and believed that, which isn't true, but if we did believe that, as a product of historical bias, there will still be biases today. So that's something we need to look into, you know? And I think that's something worth talking about. But you never want to invoke conversations on systemic issues as a bludgeon to attack individuals, you know? If you're white, maybe you've had a harder life than like a black person you know. Or if you're black, maybe you've had an easier life than like a white person that you know. There's a lot of variance and variability in the ways we experience our lives. We're not talking about individuals, we're just talking about broader experiences and statistical averages. So don't think about any of these as like a metric for fully understanding an individual, just for getting a perspective on why some social trends continue the way they do. That that's what high school students should learn. Does anybody find that disagreeable? Like does like to me this is like a very there are a lot of chuds in chat, whatever. Um this is an extremely agreeable approach towards ideas like those, you know? I also love how these lefties say it's a systemic issue and then turn around and want to point at individuals. They're like, look, this is all Robin DiAngelo tier shit, okay? Do not let the entire field of sociology be dragged down by a couple of screenshots that got really popular on conservative forums, okay? Seriously. And Shu, I mean this with you too. The entire fucking range of like CRT, this is the left indoctrinating our children shit comes from like 2 Robin DiAngelo books and a couple of PowerPoints drafted by them, along with maybe a few texts from like college authors who never wanted their shit to be read by high school students. Okay? That's it. We're making a moral panic out of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the available discourse, okay? You can go anywhere in the country and 99.9% of the time you're not going to get that. You're probably going to get some like milk toast, like not even particularly progressive approach towards these issues, all right? Do you see Matt Walsh's weird takes on cameras in the classroom? It's insane. It's never going to happen, but like, yeah, this is exactly what I mean. Hey, we don't want cops having body cams, but however, we want to spend billions putting cameras and systems in every single classroom so parents can live access their. Should this be a live stream? Do we need like gigabit fiber in every single classroom in America? That's, hey, actually, I'm down with that, but don't put cameras in there. Weird stuff. Anyway, the point that I'm just trying to get at here is that the basic underlying lessons here are extremely defensible and extremely easy to convey. And if people push back on them, just continue in a non-individualistic approach. Yeah, of course, conservatives want millions of hours of free videos of children. What Matt Walsh failed to describe is that he also wants cameras in the locker rooms. Hey! In the year 20XX, a young person is standing, but a slip of the loose cheeks means our valiant peacekeepers are on the scene. The AOC Green New Deal fart police. The fucking brat police, dude. Get in there. Absolutely. You were so dishonest during your MRA debate, man. How was I dishonest during Survivor Tyler, the difference is that while I do think there are like elements of the left that are super toxic, I think the underlying ideas are really sound. When it comes to the MRA groups, I think the entire movement is pretty toxic, and I think that their ideas are shit. Because the good ideas they have are just feminist ideas that they've retooled and painted over, and most of the ideas they have are just like really stupid, like feminism made women meaner to men tier shit, you know? Don't you see the manipulation of people to direct the focus from themselves to hate other people? Do you not see this is not going to solve the problem? Don't you see they could solve this money with problem, but they won't because it's not their interest? What are you talking about? What are you chatting about?